The following is a presentation of iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Live tonight from Long Pond, Pennsylvania, and from the Pocono Raceway, we continue on with the 2016 ASCORS ProGeek Consultant Cup Series. The Segment 2 Championship rolls on into tonight for round number 9 of 14 on the second segment for tonight's ProGeek Cup Pocono 200. Good evening, sim racing fans. As always, we're happy to have you alongside with myself, Evan Pasoko, and Andy Kessler, joined by our producer, Cisco Scaramouche, making sure that we end up on your television screens here tonight, Andy. Good news, there is no rain in our forecast, so we're making up for a little bit of lack of Cup Series action today, as those guys had to deal with a little bit of weather delays. This is a very unique track, and we've seen it the last couple of days in and throughout the iRacing service. A lot of track guys don't like this track, and there's equally amount a handful of drivers that do. It is an extremely unique racetrack. It's 3 turns. We go to Phoenix. Phoenix is a triangle. They say it's 4 turns just to make themselves feel better. This is 1, 2, and 3 at Pocono. It's a fun track. Drivers in qualifying at the moment. It should be a good one because it falls in an interesting place. The 5th to last race on 80 laps, 200 miles.
Yeah, and you can't forget a couple months ago here, back early June, we were here to begin with our first stop, and now we're here at our second stop. And of course, you can't forget what happened with that race. Late race caution there caused what was the dominating car of the night. Ryan Luza, who basically came down pit road. Nobody else came with him. It was under 10 laps to go, and he ended up coming on the short end of that one. Matt Busa, of course, picking up the win. But you talk about a unique. It's such a hard track to be consistent lap after lap after lap because of the 3 different corners.
We talk about those 3 different corners in specific. Each corner is a little bit bigger or shorter than the other, and then of course every single time you go turn to turn, the banking is different, and all the corners here at the Pocono Raceway modeled after different racetracks. We'll talk about our track facts in just a moment. Before then, though, cars are getting set to head trackside and get on the grid. Qualifying just about wrapping up to a close, so we'll go trackside, get tonight's festivities underway. Jaden Berkey has, as always, our national anthem.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
A big thanks to the virtual Thunderbirds, as well as his As always, Jaden Berkey, we're set to go racing. Let's hit trackside, take a look at tonight's ASCORS starting lineup. Pole position, and not much of a shocker here, talking about what we saw the last time out from Pocono Raceway. Matt Busa in the number 34 Toyota going to start tonight from pole position, a 54.185, and he's so confident in this racetrack he didn't even need to put down the time. After 40 minutes of practice, he went out there, one lap, pole position, brought it back in. Busa's going to roll from the top spot. Ryan Luza going to start in the number 2 position. To the outside of the front row is that 02 Chevrolet. Ray Alfala back on the inside of row number 3. He'll roll inside row 2, rolling from the number 3 spot. Taylor Hurst to his outside will start tonight in 4th. Tyler Hudson in the 01 Ford will roll from 5th.
Great qualified effort for the 88 of Mark Jorgensen Jr. He'll start on the outside of row number 3 in that 6th spot. Chris Overland in the 27. He starts 7th. 8th goes to Santiago Tires. Derek Bordeaux, probably one of the strongest drivers here in segment number 2. He'll roll off in the 9th spot. Starting in the top 10 here tonight, that's the 03 Dylan Jones.
Just behind him, you'll find the number 83. That is Adam Benefield, joined on the outside, row number 6, P12, Bentley Glazer. Seth DeBurchin with the target colors on board. His number 32 Chevrolet going to start in lucky number 13 starting position tonight. Matthew Moose to his outside will roll from 14th position into 14. Behind him, 15th position to the Boeing entry of Josh Jones.
Tommy Ryan in the 99 will start 16th. 17th to John Gorlinski. Chuck Sweeney will start in the 18th spot here tonight. 19th goes to Samuel Rouse, and Jason Miller will start 20th.
Final 2 times to be put down in the qualifying session tonight. 21st, Joshua Campbell and Tyler Dalton, 22nd. Round out the drivers who did put down a lap during our qualifying session. Provisionals 23rd through 34th. Begin with that number 23 spot, the 93 of Byron Daly. Chad Coleman in 24th and 25th, Jordan Hightower.
Landon Harrison in the 70, he'll start 26th. 27th to Jonathan Goke. Harrison Widlitz will start 28th. 29th to Alex Bergeron. And J.D. Laird will start 30th.
31st position for the 28 Adoy Woods. Brian Day back in 32nd. 33rd for Ray Rittenau with the second. John Wilco, 34th. Stephen Herring, shotgun on the field. Not out there right now on the grid, but is slated to roll from 35th position and to round out the field here tonight from Pocono. So they head down to the tunnel turn, getting set for the restart. Talked about the 3 quarters. You go down a 3,700-foot front straightaway to turn number 1, banked at 14 degrees of banking and modeled after the now defunct Trenton Speedway. The tunnel turn, 9 degrees of banking, modeled after Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Then they head down the short chute here, down to turn number 3, the longest and flattest on track, the Big Bend at 6 degrees of banking. It's modeled after the Milwaukee Mile. This is not a track that we expect to see a lot of 3-4 wide action, Andy, but these restarts, they got plenty of room to fan out to turn 1.
Well, they absolutely do. That front straightaway on these restarts, that's where you'll see the 3 and 4 wide, but not so much in the corners, and we get set to get this one underway. How about it? Ryan Luza on the inside, or the inside of the front row. Matt Busa, he chooses the outside lane.
Pace car down, and we get set to go racing from the Poconos. American Ethanol green flagging underway to turn, and look at 3 wide already. Ray Alfala, jump on your pole sitter to the inside. 3 wide in turn 1. They're going to play chicken. Who has the preferred lane? It is not the 2 Ford, though. You need to arc it into the corner. Alfala's going to end up second. Contact behind. Hurst hangs on after he got a shot from Jorgensen, and the 34 of Busa lost tons of time. They're 3 wide for 3rd.
Yeah, heading into turn number 1, Matt Busa just flat out drove it in there, went way up the racetrack, lost a couple positions on that. He's going to settle down now in the 4th spot as Overland makes contact again with the 74 of Taylor Hurst right there in the tunnel turn, and they'll be able to somewhat get it gathered up around, though. Still 2 wide now. Taylor Hurst on that outside lane. 3 wide just behind him. Dylan Jones looking on the outside of Jorgensen.
Yeah, to be clear, when we talked about all the space, that was only on the front stretch. That ends at turn number 1. It is a very tight line, especially down these guys getting physical in the opening 2.5 miles here over real estate. Up at the front of the field, single file with Luza P1, Alfala now second, Tyler Hudson third, and your pole sitter Matt Busa again fell to the number 4 spot. Derek Bordeaux, though, under attack for the number 5 spot. He'll lose at the Alfala Tech Ford of Chris Overland. The 27 machine slots still on the outside to take over that number 5 spot.
That's a great move by Chris Overland so far, up a couple spots now to take over that one. Still side by side, just this season that's in the chase right now. he's sitting in that 9th spot, trying to get more as he gets around Santiago Tierras for that 8th spot right now. They'll continue to battle it out just a bit. Mark Jorgensen Jr., who fell back on the start of this one, trying to hang on to the 10th spot as they work their way off 3.
It's all about getting what you can on the restarts here. When we get onto a long green flag stretch, sure, you'll be able to be around a couple of guys to battle for position, but you want to get everything you can now. The 21 of John Gorlinski almost in a 3-wide fight. He goes to the inside of Jorgensen for the number 10 spot. Seth the Merchant behind in the 32 was the one thinking about maybe easy just behind there. The 03 of Dylan Jones top side, and really straight away down a place that you want to be too wide through. It's going to really kill both of your lines off the corner. We go too wide, 2 rows deep in though.
Yeah, we do just for a moment. Looks like Seth the Merchant able to take that spot away from Dylan Jones. Opens up the bottom for Matthew Moose now to look to the inside as they head back to turn number 3. Jorgensen will hold off Gorlinski just ahead of him for the time being as they all spread out and fan out different lines, being able to run to turn number 3, and it shows right now as they exit the corner and head down the front straightaway. Still a lot of action, though, between all these guys outside the top 10.
Derek Bordeaux is looking for a little bit of retribution. Battle for the number 5 spot. He goes back to the inside again. He was on the bottom in turn number 1 when Overland passed him on the outside. This time he'll try to use the bottom to pass the 27 back, and he'll do it. The 74, though. Talk about an aggressive move. Hurst all over the left rear quarter panel of Overland. Got both those cars out of shape. Hurst and Overland hang on. 74 going to lose a little bit of momentum up though before they hit the tunnel turn, and somehow all of that single file is out with Bordeaux now back into P5. Overland back to the number 6 spot. Maybe not for long. These guys are going to see a lot of each other.
Oh, what some action we got here. We still got 76 laps left to go in this race. I don't think anyone told these guys it was an endurance race here tonight. They got a long time to go, and they're getting it done here early in these laps, trying to get everything they possibly can before they lose touch with these guys. You see the 74 now, Taylor Hurst trying to make his move to the outside of Chris Overland. This is all happening, heading back into turn number 1. And it looks like, just for the time being, the 74 are going to have that momentum on the outside. He'll clear him now. He'll take over that spot from Chris Overland.
The Overland looked like he was going to go back up 1 spot. He indeed falls back 2. I think what it is Andy, the 27 still thinks he's doing a 10-lap shootout, and he has to get up and go. 5 laps going to be complete this next time around. Ryan Luza is your race leader. Ray Alfala now in the number 2 position. Starts to close the gap in a little bit. He's knocked it down to just inside of 0.2 of a second. These 2 drivers right now, by far and large, the fastest on the racetrack. They're almost a second in front of the one of Tyler Hudson, who runs right now behind them in 3rd. Keep an eye on those 2 up front. Keep a half eye to see if they end up going side by side. But while they still sit double file behind them, by Brian Day, the Quaker State Chevrolet, the number 1, up already 14 positions from the start of this race, and now Samuel Roush under attack by the 99 of Tommy Ryan.
Yeah, Tommy Ryan trying to get the job done here a little further deeper into the field. He's lost a few positions on that restart, now trying to make them all back as the tires start to wear off on these cars. Just 10 miles into this race right now, and you can see him pull right up to that back bumper right now of the 24 Samuel Roush. He'll back it off just a bit at corner entry, not to hurt his entry, maybe to try to set him up for a run off the corner, but he's got to be careful. Jordan Hightower now closing in.
Hightower, another driver who started on a provisional, trying to pick his way up through the field. In the number 22, Shell Pennzoil forward. Up from him, he's not up more spots from the start of the race, but just somebody else to note who started in 23rd at a provisional position. That was the first time to not take a qualifying time. 23rd, Byron Daly up to 14th at the moment. He was a top 10 car in the practice session, so he tries to work his way through the field. Again, talking about maximizing what you can get on. Lot 3 a little bit further forward. Adam Benefield sideways at a turn number 1, and he'll lose his spot to side, and the 80 to Mark Jorgensen Jr. going to slot in.
That was a close call, but a good piece of driving to hang on to it by Adam Benefield. We mentioned him being tops in the chase standings as far as points. No wins on the season, but he's been very consistent, running inside the top 10, top 5. He's had one of those years basically very comfortable right now, locked into the chase standing. So Adam Benefield trying to get what he can here. Started 11th, right now showing in the 10th spot here as he got past a couple more times there that last time with that bobble off of turn number 1. So we'll see what he can do if he can gather things back up and get back going towards the front in the right direction. But so far, not much has changed all throughout the top 5 right now. Taylor Hurst, he's trying to hang on to that position, though. Derek Bordeaux starting to make a run off turn 1.
Trying to get that advantage and continue to pick his way forward again. Taylor Hurst took over the number 6 spot from Chris Overland as Bordeaux had taken over the 5 spot from that 27. Overland dropped 2 in that exchange. Since then, the 74 has jumped in front of that 4. Bordeaux back to the number 6 spot. Still up a couple. Started in 9th position, plus 3 on the night. Matt Busa. You want to talk about that 34 machine. I mentioned Tyler Hudson had fallen just about a second off at the top spot. It's now 1.2 between a fairly even gap between Luza and Alfala. Still at about 2-3 car lengths between your top 2, but starting to see a battle for 3rd. Matt Busa, again, didn't take a time at a practice session, qualified on pole position with the 1 lap that he's done all night long, but he fell to 4th early, went way high in turn 1 on lap number 1, and he hasn't been able to make up much ground. Not sure if being stuck behind Hudson is costing him time, or if he just doesn't have as fast of a car as the 02 and the 2 on the long run, but he himself now 1.5 seconds back as he follows the 01 trying to get into 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, basically right now he's hanging on to that draft of the 01 right now. It's keeping him at least up to the front. He can at least still see those top 2 cars right now. Matt Busa, of course, winning the race here a couple months ago. I mentioned a little bit earlier on. So we knew without him taking practice time here tonight, getting the pole for tonight's race, we knew he had a fast car just for what he was able to do last time we were here. So to see him where he's at right now, not surprised. This is typically the Matt Busa type of start to a race. Falls back a little bit, gets into a groove, and as the tires start to wear on, you start to see him start climbing back towards the front.
Pocono's a long racetrack to get around. Talked a little bit about the track facts earlier on in this one. 2.5 miles in length and at the same length in distance as you'll see at a place like a Daytona as well Indianapolis. Those 3 tracks tied for the second largest oval on the NASCAR calendar outside of Talladega, but it does take an exceptionally long time to get around this place just because you're not a full throttle like you are at a place like Daytona. Lap times, once the tires get a little bit of wear on them, as you see now, talking about how those Goody Regals are going to start to fall off, you're looking at about a second and some change, about 1.2, 1.3 seconds off of what the fastest times were in the qualifying session right now, about a 55.4 or so. And it's going to continue to drop off as the night goes on. Pocono is a racetrack where you can have a night where you'll get a lot of caution to flag. Both opportunities open up a scenario like we saw the last time we were here, where it doesn't matter what you did for the first 70 laps. You get a caution inside the final 10. It's going to get fun at that point, but clean and green for the opening 10 laps so far, and starting to see these guys fan out. A little bit of side-by-side just outside the top 10. The 93 of Byron Daly to the inside of the 03 of Dylan Jones. That's a battle for 13th position. Daly going to keep the nose. They didn't have the spot, though. Jones left the door open. The 93, he'll take advantage of it, get the spot.
Now we'll get one more spot there, up to 13th now. 10 spots to the good for Byron Daly from the start of this race. Once he got up to that back bumper, it just shows you getting from the back to the front when you have a fast race car is pretty easy. But once you start getting up into these top 15 guys, it makes it each pass to get around them is that much more difficult because the competition level's that much better further up through the field too as well. So Byron Daly still trying to click him off here one at a time. He's still now got to chase down this 32 now. Seth the Merchant trying to hang on to that spot. It's just inside of the top 15 here. So Seth the Merchant doing a great job as well. Skorlinski has some problems off of turn number 1, and that'll slow the pace down a little bit. And that's actually going to bring in the 93 now as he closes the gap in the double turn.
Byron Daly continuing to march forward. He's up 10 positions. Again, he's the highest running driver who started outside of the qualifying spot. Still not the biggest mover on the night. I believe that right still falls back to Byron Daly, who's picked up an additional spot since we last checked in with him. He's plus 15 on the night, but is 9.1 seconds back. So caution flag going to fly, though. Lap number 12 will slow things down for the first time. Issues with Jonathan Goat, the 08 Air Force Chevrolet. Looks like he's around down in turn number 3. And as we get a second to take a second look, that one looks like it was not unassisted.
No, it looks like he had a little bit of help there. 28 of Doy Woods as the replay gets up on your screen. I don't think the 28 thought he was going to come down like he did. It almost looked like a late entry for Jonathan Goke and then 08 machine. It looked like he was going to take that high line, and then the last second kind of came down. Doy Woods nowhere to go right there. So replay goes up on your screen, and You can check it out there as we go on board with the 28 for that replay. And I don't know, it was awfully close there. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but fighting for the same real estate there. Caution number 1.
Well, he drove it in, and I had a sneaking suspicion, Andy, that there might have been a little bit of history, and, they were into each other about 20 seconds before that down in turn number 1. Woods made a move to the inside on Goke. He pushed up into the 08. They made contact, and the 08 machine was able to hang on to the position. And I think Doy Woods really didn't appreciate that. Went in, and, you go to the bottom, talked about all the different lines you can take in turn number 3. He didn't even go to the inside of the racetrack. He just kind of drove into the left rear quarter panel for the 08 in front of him. So they were into each other in turn 1. You make a decision for yourself, but there was some history between those two.
I'm just trying to be nice. That's all.
Yeah. Politically correct. I think
I'm not in the car,
term.
so
yeah. It's going to also give all of your race leaders an opportunity to come down pit road for the first time tonight. 14 laps now in the works. That caution flag came out when your race leaders were on lap 13, but the issues were back on lap 12 for those who probably 4 tires and fuel.
Yeah, I definitely expected 14 laps into this race. We talked about the times already going down from these guys in the first 14 laps, so I do expect 4 tires for these guys. A small run, a 3 to 4, maybe 5-lap run, and maybe some guys try the 2-tire strategy. But this long into a run, how much this place can really eat the tires up through these corners, these flat, long corners, especially turn number 3. I really expect 4 tires, especially from all your race leaders.
The duck down pit road this time. Looks like Luza, Alfala, Hudson, Busa, and Hurst are all going to come in. Expect all your race leaders down for service this time through. All the way to the end of pit road is going to be Matt Busa. Let's see if your pole sitter can make up for a lost position due to the starting position that he got. He'll have the number 1 pit stall. We'll see if that's any sort of advantage. Your leaders, though, are in.
And it looks like everybody coming to a nice stop in their box here. 32 set to Merchant. We'll just drive through, trying to gain, maybe possibly lead a lap here on this one here. But everybody, it looks like 87 to Rittenauer as well. All your leaders, though, 4 tires and fuel. Run off of pit road there. Looks like Hudson might have beaten out no, he didn't. The 2 of Ray Alfala. Looks like we'll hang on to that 3rd spot. But Matt Booster, that pole position, that first pit stall, it definitely helped him out. A couple spots for him here in this stop.
I think Ray drove it off to turn 1 to maybe convince the 01 that he beat him. There's no line that goes across the racetrack, so it makes it very difficult to see. But at those green cones is where the race off of pit road comes to a conclusion. And off of pit road, Luza stays in front, Busa picks up 2, Hudson comes off 3rd, then Derek Bordeaux, and then Ray Alfala. So the number 2 Ford actually drops 3 positions on that cycle.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Usually we don't see those type of problems from Ray Alfala on the pit stop. So either it was him getting off or getting into the pit road, maybe too long of a slide into his box. Not sure exactly what the call was there, but for that team or what caused him to lose those spots. But definitely something we don't typically see out of the 2 of Ray Alfala. But he'll have his work cut out for him here to try to get some of these spots back awfully quick.
Much more under control, though, I think, overall. Drivers getting down onto pit road this time. So we'll see how the pit road picture plays out over the course of the night, if you will. Again, especially for Matt Busa, I think is the biggest thing to highlight there. He'll go from the outside of row number 2 to the outside of row number 1. Still not the bottom, still not a control car position, but those 2 spots are curious to see if that Gale Force Sim Racing Toyota can really get up and get on it. If he can get up to clean air. Again, started on pole position, didn't lead for much more than maybe 5 seconds after we saw your second place starter Luza on the inside actually end up with the point by the time we got down to turn number 1. Light still on top of the base car. Mentioned Seth the Merchant drove through pit road. By doing so, it will give him the ability to come down pit road at the 1 to go. So did the number 87 Ray Rittenauer. And I believe Tyler Dalton was scored 3rd the last time by the Haviland Chevrolet. Has been in this time. So DeMerchant, Rittenauer, the only reason they would drive through pit road is to be able to come down at 1 lap to go. Kind of an interesting strategical thing that you pick up on For those that have been on the sim for a good amount of time, if you just stay out, you cannot pit after 2 laps to go. If you have been scored as on pit road, you do have the ability to come back down. So 32 of the 87, I fully expect them to come down and give way. Not surprised if that's what's going to happen with Ray Rittenauer, who started 33rd. And I think just kind of wants to hang out at the back for the beginning of this one and kind of weed through a couple of the cars that maybe fall back early on. Seth the Merchant, though, started 13th and had a good car, so it would be a little bit surprising if he wanted to go that far back.
Yeah, I believe he was running 12th, maybe 11th at the time of the caution, so an interesting call, to say the least. He's not in a position to run for the championship by any means, just running here in segment number 2. So I'm not sure exactly why that would play out in his favor or not, unless he plans on staying out. But it looks like right now pointing his way down to pit road. So Seth the Merchant in the 32. He'll give way. It's a way to get back to the back of the field if you don't want to get bottled up in any of the mess up towards the front. So those 2 drivers will come down pit road here, and the one to go, the lights will go off on the pace car, and we'll start to stack them up here and get ready for our first restart of the night.
To take the green flag on the outside of the front row, in the O2 Alusa, who was actually second at the time, started to the bottom. 34 had some tire spin. It cost him the race lead. They're going to line up exactly as they did that first time around. But again, important to keep in mind that Lusa this time is your race leader in the conventional control car position to the inside of the front row, outside of row number 1, going to be Matt Busa. He is going to be in the number 2 spot. You have the 01 Hudson there as well, the 4 Derek Bordeaux, Ray Alfala inside the top 5. We were just really getting to the point through those 12, 13 laps, Andy, where guys were finally getting single filed out. Expect a good share of a lot of battling off of this restart, just as we saw before.
Yeah, absolutely. And we mentioned you mentioned the 4 car there on the outside lane, Derek Bordeaux. We talked about how how hot he's been in this segment number 2, and he's run 7 races so far coming into the night, and all of them have finished in the top 10. So he has been one of the most consistent drivers here in segment number 2. A 4.7 average finish, better than anybody by almost 5 positions on an average finish. So Derek Bordeaux, the only thing he's lacking is a win, and he's in good position to maybe pull one out here tonight.
They head down through the Big Bend and get set for the first American Ethanol restart on the night. Still scored with 33 of the 33 cars that started this race on the lead lap. Stephen Herring, 35th on the 28th, did not elect to take the green flag. That we scored as a DNS. The green flag waves, though. We're back underway from Pocono. Stack it up on the inside. Alfala to the inside, and just as he goes for that, Hudson ducks to the inside of Matt Busa, and now 4 wide behind with Gorlinski bringing up the bottom, and that's tight. Contact, Bordeaux out of shape. He'll to Matt Busa, all kinds of out of shape, and he'll spin it around.
He spins it around, and I honestly don't think anybody hit him right there. That was unbelievable. Matt Busa getting through that right now, pointing in the wrong direction, but I'm not sure if he got tapped at all or not. He might have, just by the 76 maybe, or the 73, I should say, of Miller, but that was awfully close. No, he didn't get hit. I mean, I can't wait to watch this replay here as it goes up on your screen. Matt Busa, totally out of shape. Problems when he made contact with the 4. But, oh my, he did not get touched by any car there. That was absolutely amazing piece of driving by everybody.
So the 34 would just love if we don't have any more restarts. Kind of just a racing incident. 4 came down. The 34 really didn't duck down to the apron as quickly as the 01 did it, and I think as soon as Bordeaux was expected. A spectacular save, though, by Derek Bordeaux. Taylor Hurst was all kinds of out of shape, but I think I'd be more surprised if the 74 wasn't driving like that, because he's always all kinds of out of control and able to hang on. And then again, Busa, really the one that gets the worst end of that one, walked it up the hill. He kept it out of the fence. Beautiful move by the 36 to get around him. Tell you what, Bentley Glazer putting on a show and then locking up the brakes and avoiding a T-bone, as we mentioned, was that 73 Jason K. Miller. That could have been 10, 15 cars junked. Instead, Matt Busa just self-spins and be slowing back down again.
Yeah, I think he's breathing a sigh of relief, even everybody else around him, too. I mean, just the way he went up the track and then came back down, and it just worked out so perfectly where the cars were. No one was fortunate enough to get into that accident. So great job by that. Just looks like maybe some fresh tires to put on that 34. He'll be back out there. And this is one of those things, just a couple laps, or a lap basically into this restart here. You're not going to see these leaders come down. They're going to keep their track position, but this is where you'll see guys halfway through the field come down, new tires, top off the fuel tank, and if this race turns out to a fuel strategy type of event with a long green flag run, that's where you're going to see some of these guys where they pit now have a great opportunity maybe to stretch it out at the end.
So as we pace, we don't expect any pit service this time around. Ryan Lewis is going to stay out at the front of the field. We work under the second caution in tonight's ProGeek Cup, Pocono 200, and we'll take this opportunity to take a caution flag of our own, step aside, and bring it back for the restart from Long Pond, Pennsylvania in just a moment. You're watching the 2016 ASCORS ProGeek Consulted Cup Series on LSRTV and iRacing Live.
Once its sights are set, capturing it on keen senses, lions search patiently before striking with alarming speed. Wait for it. Gotcha, Mr. Piece of Rubbish. He is truly the master of his environment. Do good, be a lion.
For iRacing to get Le Mans is huge. I mean, this is a unique event, a unique track where, half of the track is public road, so you can never test on it, you never get experience on it, and it's 8 miles in length, 4-minute lap time in a GT car. So, even if you're here for an hour of testing, that's only 15 laps, and you're only gonna see the corner 15 times that day. The first section going through the Dunlop area is pretty unique. It's got elevation change and off camber. Then you go down Mulsanne into the chicanes, and the straights are unbelievably long. It's a tricky track, and here you learn something new every time.
We've wanted to add Le Mans to iRacing for a long time, and we've really been working hard towards it for the last 5 years. But really, things only came together in the last week leading up to this race, so it was a real scramble to put everything together. The majority of Le Mans is public roads. So when they're preparing for the 24-hour race, it's really the only time that we can visit to laser scan and photograph the track so that we can recreate it in iRacing. We work closely with the ACO to get essentially exclusive access to the facility and everything that we needed to get the laser scanning and photographic reference that we need to create the track. We were very fortunate to be at Le Mans at the most important time of the year and gain that experience of being there. And we're going to really do the best we can to put that exciting and accurate recreation of the track possible.
Since 2010, the highest echelon of sim racing competition has focused on racing. 50 of the best drivers in the world doing battle for championship glory. And even though there may be teammates on track, each driver is in command of his own destiny. Until now. 2016 sees the start of a new era in World Championship competition, with team racing getting its chance in the spotlight. No longer can one driver rule supreme, but you must rely on those with whom you share a car, a setup, a strategy. Endurance racing can be very different to other forms of motorsports, with races in this series lasting either 3 or 6 hours. Teams of 2 or 3 drivers, perhaps on opposite sides of the world, will share seat time, each having to collectively work towards one common goal. Crash out, and it's not just you who you let down. Officially sanctioned by SRO, it will be teams of drivers who will go head to head, car to car, rival to rival, in the pursuit of a championship. And there's over $25,000 in cash and prizes up for grabs. Some of the world's biggest sim racing teams are represented. There's also a group of teams who haven't seen this stage before, who want to make their mark. It's here. It's loud, it's exciting, and it lives on iRacing Live, starting
Back live from the Pocono Raceway, lights are out on top of the pace car as we gear up for a 3rd green flag on the night. Going to be the 2nd restart off of a caution flag here from the Pocono Raceway. Pace car going to duck down and away. We'll have 22 laps complete of the 80 on the night, just past quarter distance in tonight's ProGeek Cup Pocono 200. We'll see on the outside, lose it this time, green flag in the air, bobble from behind, Chris Overland out of shape, yet to go 3 wide, there it is, Gorlinski to the inside, side by side for the race lead, and 3 wide for 3rd behind.
That's a great one right there. That's a great start by the 21 to Gorlinski. This is exactly how the accident started on that last restart there with some 3 wide action. They're going to continue 3 wide off of turn number 1. How about that? A great piece of driving right there. Ray Alfalo will hold that spot for the time being. Derek Bordeaux as well, trying to hold off the 21 for 4th. As they go back into the... Still on the outside is Derek Bordeaux. Going to hang on to it as everybody single file. It's side by side, though. Further back is the 83 of Adam Benefield looking to get around.
And not only were they 3 wide for that 3rd spot, but I think it must have been 7th or 8th. It looked like 1 row behind, but again, there were so many cars so tight together, they were also 3 wide a 2nd row. Once more or less figured out as we come off of turn number 3. The 21 of John Gorlinski a little bit sideways off the quarter. He'll go from 4th position back to number 5 spot. The 4 of Derek Bordeaux just in front. Side by side behind Matthew Moose under attack by the 12 of Alex Bergeron. He'll drive his number 12 Chevrolet to the bottom. Bottom good in outside if he can get back to the gas, though. Good benefit is all the way down that Long Pond straightaway. A big head of steam. Not enough to get him clear, though. He'll pull back up alongside. Chris Overland looks to the inside. Decides that 3 wide probably not the best option. And he'll follow the 12 machine to the bottom as Bergeron gets the spot.
Gets the spot now. Matthew Moose loses all his momentum off of turn number 2 right there. Here comes the 03 of Dylan Jones to make the pass as well here. As they drop down into turn number 3, Matthew Moose going to try to fight back now on the outside lane as the 03 of Dylan Jones. Pretty good run off the corner right there, and they'll battle it out still side by side all the way down this long front straightaway.
All the way down to turn at number 1, 3,700 plus feet later. And the 03 of Dylan Jones at the inside tries to complete the pass. The Mobile 1 entry a little bit tight, center off the corner. The 14 of Matthew Moose, he'll fight back top side, squeeze through on the outside, and they have some change now as they continue to battle to the tunnel turn. Advantage should be to the inside of the racetrack. That's where we saw Alex Bergeron to make the move last time around on the 14, and the 03 will do just that. So give Jones the position. He'll go up to the number 11 spot. Bentley Glazer not close enough. He'll look at number 3, almost get into the right rear of the 14 to move. Battle themselves for 12th position on the racetrack.
That was a close call and a great heads-up move by Bentley Glazer right there. I don't think he was looking to go on the high side there, but I think getting off the brakes and getting onto the brakes for the 14 surprised Bentley Glazer at that point there, able to settle it. Some side-by-side action, some great racing going on for that spot all the way back there just outside the top 10 right now. Right up in the middle of it, though, right in front of these guys. How about that train of cars all led by the 4, Derek Bordeaux in that 4th spot. He's leading a group of about 5 cars right now. including in there, you got John Gorlinski, Mark Jorgensen Jr., and of course Byron Daly, we mentioned earlier on, who had made his way up from 23rd all the way up near that top 10, will now put him in that 7th spot here as they work their way back to turn 3.
Still sitting with 31 of the 33 cars that started this race scored on the lead lap, and I think much less chaotic on this restart outside of the first couple hundred feet than what we saw at the start of the race. Not as much consistent 2 and 3 wide, just now about a handful of laps off for the restart. Single file top to bottom for a brief moment. Side by side inside the top 10, a last ditched move to the inside. Adam Benefield stepped that along, trying to get the number 7 spot from the 93 of Byron Daly. Looked good inside, ways off line. He'll do so.
Yeah, he'll jump back in line. That's what makes it tough trying to make a pass on the bottom side at this racetrack. Sometimes you can make it work if the guy on the outside has problems, but right there, Byron Daly not having any issues using that outside lane, and the 83 of Benefield will have to slot back in line. Still a great job so far here tonight by that 83 to maintain or get up into the top 10 and continue to stay there over the course of this. Up front, though, not much has changed. The top 3 are still the same way as they were since this green flag, but the problem is the 3 of them, they're pulling away from that 4. Derek Bordeaux, along with the group behind him, have not been able to catch those top 3. They've just been on a rail here up in the front of the field.
And it was earlier on in this one, Ray Alfala and Ryan Luza, the 2 that were running away. And Tyler Hudson was in an exact this many laps off of the restart, about 1.2 seconds back, and that gap had grown to just a little bit over a. Hudson has had a very consistent car over the night. P5 in practice, also qualified in that number 5 spot, sent him to roll out for the inside of row number 3. But I have to think that he might be holding up the 2 just a little bit as they run right now. May not be enough to get a positioning on the inside, but Luz is going to scoot away a little bit from 0.2 of a second to 0.3, the difference between 1 and 2 over that last lap.
Yeah, and you're looking at the top 3 right now where the guys have pretty much dominated the race here back in June as well, too. Ray Alfala, of course, getting that 2nd place finish right behind Matt Busa, but then the 01 of Tyler Hudson actually had a 3rd place finish in that race, too. So not surprised to see these same cast of characters here up towards the front of the field. And remember, Ryan Luza led 60 of the 80 laps back here in June, continuing right where he left off.
Alfala going to lose tons of time. That exchange through the tunnel turn, a little bit high in. If you really don't get down to the bottom, not that you want to use the curbs here, if you really want to call it a curb, more of a rumble strip on the inside. Get as close to it as you can. I would not suggest getting on it, though. These cars are already on edge coming off of the turns, and that applies to 1, 2, and 3. That would only further upset the car, but you have to get it so close and really push that limit. We see this happen at tons of other tracks. Seems pretty obvious when they got the white line painted on the inside that marks the track and the apron. Don't put the left side tires on the apron, and still it happens. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple of people over the course of the night getting those tires down on that curbing, getting a little bit out of shape, because you just try to walk such a fine line between getting as low as you can. If you're about 1 car length up off the bottom in turn 2, it could cost you 3/4 of a second, and if you get that.
No, you're absolutely right. It's all about the line here, and to get the maximum off the corners coming up against the wall, you got to be down on that white line as well. We see guys that are able to use that second groove in turn number 3 to, stay with them. We look right now, Alex Bergeron's actually using that, but he's able to stick with those ahead of him, Adam Benefield, all those guys. A lot of it have to do with the draft, but also with the way the car's handling for each individual driver. Of course, they all have the same setup coming into this race, so everybody's style's a little bit different. Some guys are lead to use, some guys still using the bottom lane, other guys choosing a later entry up high. It's all about preference, all about feel in the race car, and you can see with this group from Derek Bordeaux all the way back to Chris Overland in that 27. From 4th to 10th, all these guys, you look at them in every single corner except maybe the 10th. They all have a different lane, but they're all having the same result. They're all still a car length apart from each other.
Curious to see if this will continue to carry on and translate into green flag pit stops. We're 31 laps into Vady on the night, just 9 laps shy, and give or take a couple of seconds, puts you about 9 minutes of green flag racing away from the halfway point here at Pocono. You start to count down at that point. Everything starts to happen a little bit quicker. Caution flags early, shuffle up the running order just a little bit. Take an update at some of your biggest movers. John Gorlinski seems to have been up front for the better part of this. He started in 17th position, had a 17th place car in practice, but he's P5 right now. I think Mark Jorgensen Jr. is going to give it to him here in the next couple of laps in. Speaking of the 93, he has gone from 23rd to 7th. That's up 16 spots. And behind him, Alex Bergeron up 20 positions from 29th to 9th. Runs just behind those two and behind the 83 of Adam Benefield, who's in front of him in 8th.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with Alex Bergeron over the course of the season. A young kid here on the sim, and definitely not as much experience as a lot of these guys he's racing around, especially these peak antifreeze drivers that are in this series. But you know what? He's held his own. It's a few races he's been up maybe in the top 5, but then problems on his own mistakes, whether it's on pit road, maybe it's driving into the corner a little too hard, getting into the wall, coming off the corner, little mistakes like that. But you look, as this season has gone on, you can just see the difference better, and he's learned a lot, I think, from chasing these guys down week after week. He just gave up that one position right the season from the start to now. He's definitely come to his own. He's definitely learning a lot racing with these guys.
Again, this Sunday night series here on LSRTV, you see some of the biggest names that you'll see anywhere on the iRacing service, and also names that we see other nights here on LSRTV. You'll recognize names from Mondays, recognize the names also from Fridays, so it's very interesting when you see many of these drivers, quote-unquote, in their own element, to kind of throw them all into the mixing pot here on Sunday nights and see how well they can go at each other. I'm impressed how close your top 3 are. Again, talking about how Hudson in that number 2 position, maybe holding the 2 of Alfala up. I don't really think that's the case now. The iAnalyze Racing Ford Diffusion, still 0.2 of a second off of Luza. Alfala still about 1/10 of a second off of him, but they are consistently right in line with each other. They're now 2 seconds in front of Derek Bordeaux, who is 4th. John Gorlinski, another half a second back in 5th position, does continue to see the 88 and the 93 get closer in his rearview mirror. But these 3 are really stepping it up. Again, Luza, Alfala, the 2 that pulled away early. The 01 machine did a good job of interjecting himself into that group.
Yeah, I'm really impressed. Usually over the course of a long run, you'll even see these groups like we're seeing. I mean, I'm impressed with the group behind them, too, as well. But these top 3, over the course of a run, and the tires get worn, you think that, or usually what you see at most racetracks is them start to spread out even more as the run goes on until we get back to those green flag pit stops. But that's not the case. These guys have actually done a really good job to keep up with each other. A lot of it has to do with the draft, I think, but at the same time, I think a lot of it has to do with the driving styles and maybe the lines here at this racetrack. And I think for the top 3 right now, the way they ran here a couple months ago, it's the same thing we're seeing right here. They've all had dominant cars in that race, and they have dominant cars again here this week. So I think this racetrack, number 1, is to their liking. We mentioned earlier in the night that some guys love this track, other guys hate it and just hope it's can't wait till it's over. Well, these are some of the guys that really like this racetrack, and it shows here in their performance, and it shows with these guys 4th on back as well too, because they haven't given up anything from the guys in front of them either.
They continue to run away and really may have to set their sights on what is going to differentiate them. If those 3 cars are as even as they look right now, it could come down to a little bit of a strategy play to separate yourself from the other guys. We know that passing at Pocono is relatively difficult, and you might have looked at the restarts and said that really doesn't make much sense. But on the green flag stretches, it's very hard to get a good enough of a run off a quarter to just beat somebody to the next turn. You typically have to rely on a mistake that somebody else would make. That's what we just saw back in 4th. Derek Bordeaux, the number 4 machine, running away after behind him. John Gorlinski got out of shape. And finally, the 88 of Mark Jorgensen Jr. was able to pick up 1 spot. That checkup then caused Benefield to get a run. He goes to the inside of the 93, the 27. And as we were talking about some strategy, I think John Gorlinski, the first driver in pit road, green flag pit stop action at lap 36.
Yeah, this isn't the first time we've seen that 21 try something other than the leaders. He's had great runs running up in the front of the field, just like he's doing here tonight. Not surprised to see him being one of the first drivers down pit road to make the green flag pit stop here. Maybe a little bit earlier than all these other guys, but he's going to get the advantage of those fresh tires out on the racetrack. It might give him the opportunity to be ahead of Derek Bordeaux maybe even be on the back bumper of Ray Alfalo by the time everybody makes their pit stop. So we'll see how it all shapes out for him, but this is definitely a call. You're going to see some of these guys, and a lot of times once one goes, they all start coming.
Car that came down pit road was at about a 3-second disadvantage to the guys up front. Luza stays out, so does Hudson, so does Alfala. No takers inside of the top 10. Everybody stays out to this point, which, could raise the question, is maybe Gorlinski going with a completely different pit strategy? Because, again, you're exactly right to the point you made, Andy. Normally, you can see a couple of guys start to trickle down, and sometimes you might not necessarily see them as we watch battles up towards the front of the field. Guys outside the top 15, guys outside the top 20, who your race leaders aren't paying that much attention to when you look at the numbers, and even their spotters, crew chiefs, whoever's inside of the sim with them, really aren't following with a microscope. Come down pit road 10 laps early, maybe 5 laps early, try to pick up some spots as the night goes on. But the second you see somebody, 1-2 cars come in from inside the top 10, everybody wants to come down pit road because they know what the advantage of fresh tires means. Now, it's only been 1 extra lap, and it looks like Luza on the inside might think about it this time. He'll stay out once again. So the guys up front not biting on it.
No, they're not just as of yet, but it's going to be interesting to see who's the first of those 3 to come down. Do they all come down on the same lap, or does somebody stay out that 1 extra lap? Does somebody try to... I expect maybe Ray Alfala or maybe the 01 of Tyler Hudson to come down any moment here and maybe kind of catch those guys by surprise. And you can see how close they are in running right now, and that 1 lap of difference could definitely take the 2 car of Ray Alfala from third and put him in the first once everything cycles through.
I would be very surprised if Hudson and Alfala come down pit road at the same time. I think one of them might jump out of line, and then you might see 2 come down the next lap afterwards together, because then you're looking at give it away a second and a half in what is a very close battle. But look at the different lines just off of that, of the different turns and the different banking and all of that. Jorgensen going to brush up against the fence off of the final turn. He'll lose P5 to marker the 83 machine of Adam Benefield slides through up on the bottom of the racetrack. Jorgensen is the one that drops back to the number 6 spot. Everybody fairly similar in turn number 1, fairly similar in turn number 2, but lose it completely out of line with the 01 and the 2 when they head down to the turn number 3 in the big bend. He keeps the bottom, while everybody else seems to want to go up 2 lanes.
Yeah, and you're actually watching these guys here over the last couple of laps really start to close in on Luza. Not sure if the tires are starting to fall off on that car right now. As you see the 01 of Hudson now looking to the inside and back into turn number 3 right now, and this is not where the 02 has been the last 10 laps or so. He's been on that bottom lane, and right now the 01 trying to get it done on the bottom. Not going to happen. Pit road. Well, that's what they did right there. Ray Alfala going to snooker them both and try to beat them onto pit road. It's going to be awfully close as far as speed right there, but those 2 drivers, second and third, they're going to come down pit road here on lap number 41.
Assuming he didn't speed, Ray Alfala beat Tyler Hudson down pit road, and he's got a pit stall a little bit further down, so he doesn't necessarily need to be all the way in front. You'll take a second look in just a second here. Coming off of turn 3, Hudson, the obvious move to the bottom, and I think Alfala made his decision based on that. You take a second look. The 2 machine locked it up as they came to the commitment cone. He didn't get it down to speed in time. Race off of pit road, going to be the big one. Hudson, a better exit, though. The advantage of being further down pit road, Andy, on a yellow flag pit stop is you're closer to that line. As we take a quick peek to see if Ryan Luza is going to come down pit road from the race lead, and the 02 decides not to. The difference is on a green flag stretch, the reason it's good to be in those first couple of stalls under yellow is you don't have to take all the time to get up to pit road speed to get to the cone. You just have to edge it out, you get the spot. Well, with the 01 being a little bit further down pit road, he got to those cones and accelerated at pit road speed of 60 miles an hour. If that was a race off of pit road under the yellow, Ray Alfala would have won it. But he was about 15, 20 miles an hour slower. Hudson had more momentum, and even though the 2 machine made a great move off of 3, Hudson still ends up in front of him.
Yeah, he does, and I'm looking at things here as pit road cycling is continuing to go on here. Look at behind Ray Alfala, John Gorlinski, exactly what we talked about with him coming down as early as he did. It leapfrogged him basically over the 4 of Derek Bordeaux and everybody else that was right in front of him, and he's put him right here on the back bumper of these guys right now. So with Ryan Luza coming down pit road as well, too, to make his stop, we'll see where he comes out in front of these guys. Of course, staying out a couple laps longer than Ray Alfala and the 01. We reached past that halfway point, and I'll tell you right now, Luza will have to, he's still out on the racetrack. I thought he came down pit road here, but no, he's still out there right now, and you got to think of how close those guys were on the racetrack, Evan, how much time he's really losing right now.
Yeah, so Luza up at the front of the field, stays P1. Derek Bordeaux get a cycle to second. Matt Boos at third. Santiago Tires at fourth. Matthew Boos in the number 5 position. It is quite a way down the ladder until you get back to Tyler Hudson around Alfala. The good news, although it is a pretty long pit road, is that you're not going to lose a lap unless you're way back in the running order. When you're looking at a cycle, the green flag pit stops, obviously a Hudson and Alfala coming in from inside the top 5 are 31 seconds back, battling for position for 15th. I have no doubt in my mind they'll end up in front of that 02, though, if we stay green all the way through the cycle as Luza comes down to pit. The question mark could be 43 laps in. Again, I was expecting Luza. If anybody was going to react to John Gorlinski pitting, it would have been Luza first, because he would have wanted to defend the track position. Staying in front of those guys looked like it was important when those three were running around each other. He didn't decide to do so. Hudson and Alfala came down pit road at about lap 40. They'd have to go 40 laps on fuel. I'm not sure they're going to be able to do that. They may have one trip down pit road still to go. Brian Luza, on the other hand, now just has 36 laps to go. If he were to pit now, he might be able to stretch it and make it a one-stop strategy.
Yeah, if he can stay out a couple more laps. I'm trying to recall back from June, and I think it was somewhere around 32 maybe, 33 laps at the most. I think these drivers were able to run here on a tank of fuel. So that might be exactly what he's thinking at this point, is that these guys, when they pitted, they're going to have to make at least one more stop. He's going to stay out here with this 30-second lead he's got at the moment, and see if that happens. Obviously, if this stays green, it could work out in his favor, making that one less extra stop here, but we'll have to see how it all shapes up. I love it when you have these guys that were just as fast as each other on different strategies. It makes you, now you have to think, all right, which one's going to be the best one, which one's going to be the one that works.
26th position on the grid was the 70 Landon Harrison. He's another driver who has stayed out running in P7 as they go right now. So again, still waiting for the cycle of pit stops to round through. We are past the halfway point as the 4 laps to go. Let's take a quick peek at your iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game with professionally organized racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, the IMSA, and many more. Ryan Lewis is still out on the racetrack, started second. He leads by 3.6 seconds. Derek Bordeaux picks up a handful of positions by also not coming down pit road. At the moment, he's +7. Pole sitter Matt Busa still runs in third position. That's a 7-second disadvantage. Santiago Gutierrez fourth, and Landon Harrison inside the top 5. Harrison up 21 spots. Seth the Merchant in the number 6 position. Matthew Moose right now runs in 7th spot. Chuck Sweetie in 8th. 9th position is Jordan Hightower, and another big mover up 20 to P10 is J.D. Laird.
11th right now is Jason Miller. Joshua Campbell currently in the 12th spot. 13th, that's where you see our first of the guys that came down and made the green flag pit stops already. Tyler Hudson right now 13th. 14th to Ray Alfala. John Gorlinski making up a bunch of spots up there on his early pit stop. He currently in the 15th spot. Adam Benefield runs 16th, 17th. Chris Overland, Byron Daly in the 18th spot. 19th, that goes to Mark Jorgensen Jr., while Alex Bergeron runs 20th.
21st position, Dylan C. Jones. 22nd is Bentley Glazer. 23rd, Tommy Ryan. Chad Coleman, exactly where he started. 25th. I get a couple of those names. Should be finishing much higher up in the running order. But again, many of those names that we went through there outside the top 15 have already been down pit road. The guys in front of them have stayed out. That's why you see so many drivers up a couple spots, so many guys down a couple of positions. 1 lap down, P26 is Doy Woods. Jonathan Goke involved in an accident earlier on in this race is 27th position. Ray Rittenauer the second runs in 28th. John Wilco 29th, with in the number 30 position. Contest here from Pocono. That was your iRacing Midway Race Break, as always, brought to you by iRacing. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities on the web, visit iRacing.com and sign up today.
Great battle going on all throughout this field right now with everybody on some different strategies right now, which is kind of the good thing that we see going on. You can see Tyler Hudson, Ray Alfala right now, which are the first two drivers on the fresh tires right now, already making their pit stop. Currently only a car length separating these two. Unfortunately, it's a battle for 12th at the time being, so you still have at least 11 drivers still out on the racetrack right now, including Ryan Luza, who continues this time by to stay out one more time. He'll complete 48 laps now, working lap number 49, and he's starting to get to that point. Another lap or so should put him to the good for the rest of this race.
Going to take 31 laps to go this time around, and now it seems pretty clear that the drivers who did not elect to come down pit road about 10, we know those other drivers can't go 40 on one stop of fuel. It might just be enough to snag Ryan Luza or a Derek Bordeaux, Matt Busa, who knows, who right now are on 1, 2, and 3. A solid finishing position here tonight from Pocono. We'll take this quick opportunity as things spread out just a little bit from Pocono to step aside and take a quick commercial break. We'll bring it back as we get set to see green flag pit stops continue. 31 laps to go in tonight's ProGeek Cup Pocono 2016 ASCORS ProGeek Consultative Cup Series Segment 2 Championship. Plenty more still to come back here on LSRTV.
Once its sights are set, nothing can stop the ferocious lion from capturing its prey. Relying on keen senses, lions search patiently before striking with alarming speed. Wait for it. Gotcha, Mr. Piece of Rubbish. He is truly the master of his environment. Do good, be a lion.
In and out of pit road at lap number 51, race leader as we stepped aside, Ryan and Michael Luza in and completed his service for what is most likely going to be the final time on the night. He'll rejoin the racing service at lap number 51. That puts him right at about 29 laps to go. And the last time Luza was down pit road, again, neglected to come down pit road when we saw everybody else come down. He was in under caution flag conditions well earlier on in this race. Lap number 15 was the last time he was in under the caution flag. And since then, he's been out on track. So he's able to stretch it quite a bit. But when you look at that number, that's a fairly impressive distance, lap number 15 to lap number 50. That puts you right in the range of what I believe is about 35 laps. My math isn't quite up there, Andy. So 35 laps would be 5 laps shy, if that is in theory the maximum number of the other drivers that we saw pit earlier, Ray Alfala, Tyler Hudson, who have now cycled up to 5 and 6 and are going to continue to climb back up forward. They came down pit road with 40 laps to go. So it's not crazy to think that they could do 40, but I still think they need to come down pit road one more time.
Yeah, I definitely think they do, and you look at everything, how it's the scoring has looped up here, and you see Ray Alfala, Tyler Hudson right now in the 5th and 6th spots here, about 10 seconds or so off the race leader of Matt Busa, and you look at a little further back where Ryan Luza actually came out, 17 spot, he's about 16 seconds behind those guys, so you can just see all those laps, those 10 laps or so that he stayed out longer than those guys. It cost him a lot on the racetrack, but with the way things shaping out here and how fast he is now, the time he'll gain here, plus not having to come down pit road again, it's going to be interesting to see if the 01 and 2 can chase him down at the end.
So Busa is the lone driver that had stayed out, and now he comes down pit road, and maybe with the exception of a couple of outliers in the middle of the pack who is a little bit harder to find, as you see guys who had already pitted start to climb back up inside of the top 10. They begin to fall down. Basically, that rounds out the cycle of green flag service, and I believe everybody that you saw pit in the last 5 laps or so is going to be good from this point on to the end of this race, with 27 laps to go. The question then remains for the names like Tyler Hudson, Ray Alfala, Seth the Merchant, Chris Overland, Adam Benefield, etc. Can they go 40 laps or so? Some pit a little bit prior to lap number 40, some pit a little bit afterwards, so you could be in a 42 to 38, 37 lap window, which would be pushing it. I think the best case scenario for the guys up front would be a caution flag, because I don't think you're going to see those who pitted already. Talked about how the guys that we just saw on pit road, Andy, they're not going to lose their lap because it is such a long way around this Pocono Raceway. But like Matt Busa in number 34, 27 seconds back in 15th, if there is a caution, he's going to come down and get tires. So he's not going to stay out, go to the front, because he'll get blown out of the water anyways. I think with the fuel numbers that you're looking at now, I think if the guys up front are assuming that the one-stop strategy might be better than the strategy call that they're making, they might just want to see a caution flag. Good run off of that final turn, though, for Ray Alfala. 0-1 a little bit out of shape. He'll go to the inside, and after following Hudson for 15 laps consecutively, he'll get to his door, and they go side by side for the race lead.
I think he's been following him for the last 40 laps or so is what it's really seemed like. Even after that pit stop right there, he'll go for that race lead. Not going to happen, though. Hudson will hang on to it from that outside lane there. So a slip-up that he was going to take over that race lead. Unfortunately, couldn't get it away from him right now, and he'll slot back in line. But we talked about this. They need about, maybe I would say about like 5 to 10 more laps here under green flag conditions, then a caution to come out. That would definitely cycle things back around where those guys that just came down pit road will come down on the pit road and get more tires as well, too. So it's going to be interesting to see, and what these guys definitely don't want is to have to come down for their final stop and then have a caution come out, because then it'll hurt them.
Back to the inside, he'll try to take a second look at it, and instead of stepping out, he makes sure to give the one a little bit of a tap to the back bumper that time by. Again, track position so key here. A lot of the time, if you see guys battling like this, Alfala to the inside, can't make it stick in. Maybe a good run off of turn number 1, going to give him another shot, not going to be able to pull back in line. Every time they go side by side, they're slowing each other down. They're eating away at their tires, especially if they're trying to get everything they can out of this set, either to get to the end or to just finish this stint and, again, still come down pit road one additional time. You'll see sometimes somebody in a position that Hudson has stick the hand out the window, wave him on by. Not going to happen at Pocono. You want that position, and that position means too much, I think, to give it away in the name of tires.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you want to hang on to every position you possibly can right now. You see the two distinct lines right there through turn number 3. Ray Alfala all the way to the bottom. And then about 3 grooves up, you see Tyler Hudson. But when they come off on the other end, on the corner exit, they're right there, same way as they went in, just half a car length separating these two. Back into turn number 1, and that battle will continue to rage on here. Some 5 seconds now over third-place driver Chris Overland, who's done a great job over the course of the night. He was right there just battling right inside the top 10 there about 40 laps ago or so, and now over the course of this green flag cycle of pit stops has made his way into a top 3 spot right now. So all these drivers doing a great job here so far, and this is a green flag run. It's coming closer to about a 50-lap run at this point.
And they're 4.7 seconds in front of Tanote. We've talked about the increasing gap back to third on. Overland, Benefield, Daly, you go to 4.7 to 5.1, 5.4 seconds. Then it's a huge jump to Alex Bergeron, who is over 10 seconds back in the number 6 spot. So there's 5 seconds alone, really, between P1 and 3, and then P5 and 6. So there's a couple of distinct groups on the racetrack. Overland, I think, is starting to get on the limit as well. Benefield and Daly starting to get a little bit out of touch, where if we ignore the other cycle of pit stops and the other drivers who we believe are good, at least on fuel, to the end of this race, Andy, and you look at just the guys inside the top 10 racing to the end, assuming that these people need to come down pit road, Overland, Benefield, Daly, close it out, short pit in there, come into 5 laps early, try something. I don't think that's really a concern for 6th on back, because 10, 11, 13 seconds is just a little bit too much. But with Hudson and Alfala, Ray in that number 2 machine back to the bottom on the 01, and side by side for the race lead again. Followed the 01 down pit road last time, which was surprising, I think. The 2 machine right now, I think, running in the number 2 position, might try to snooker the 01 and jump down pit road early once again. He continues to toy with them, though, back to the inside. The 01, though, doing a spectacular job at the outside, not giving him anything more than he needs to.
No, he's pinching him down to the bottom, doing exactly what he has to do to hang on to that top spot. It works once again right there after turn number 1. He'll keep that spot here for the time being. But, yeah, you're absolutely right. Maybe that one lap that Ray Alfala comes down to pit before him will give him that advantage and give him that opportunity when they do come back out from that last stop that he'll be out ahead of him. So we'll see exactly how it hangs on, but Ryan Luce has been making up about a second or so on these guys every single lap. It's not as much as I thought it would be, but it's enough right now to keep him honest. He's 10 seconds back. These guys come down pit road again. He's going to obviously have a pretty big lead over these 2 drivers. It's going to be a matter of how quickly they can get back on him with 4 fresh tires. And right now, next time by, after they complete lap number 60, it's only going to be 20 laps to go. So I got to have a feeling if they want to chase themselves as many laps as possible to get it done.
The 02 machine of Ryan Luza right now runs in 4th position on the racetrack. Again, he came down pit road at 30 laps to go and is now only within 9.8 seconds of the guys up in the front of the field. Even if those guys don't come down pit road, Luza might be able to give him a little bit of a challenge. Race leaders last time by, Hudson with a 36.2. It was a 55.5 for Luza. Obviously, the speed going to begin to dwindle away, if you will, as he continues to get more and more laps on those tires. But I think he's in a perfect position. Again, this is all assuming that the fuel strategy is not in favor of the drivers in front of him. Even if they both could make it to the end, it might end up being pretty tight. But I think for the 02 to have pitted only just 10 laps ago, to be in 4th position right now is amazing.
Yeah, that's a fresh tires talking, though, really, honestly, getting around some of those guys back there that came early as we see a battle for 3rd place just happened there. Ryan Lu's able to take it away from those guys, and he puts himself now up into another spot here. So this is exactly what we thought was going to happen once his different strategies came into play right now. So it's going to be interesting to see whether these 2 have to come in. 40 laps is a long time to run here at Pocono, and this is one of those places you don't want to run out of fuel, especially coming out of turn number 1, because that would make a long way back, and you probably wouldn't even make it back.
Through all of this, still 26 cars overall are scored on the lead lap. Jonathan Goke, 25th. Chad Coleman going to fall to the number 26 spot. The fuel number is not going to be enough. Hudson and Alfala in this time. And once again, they come in together. The 01, I think, was the one that initiated the move. And Alfala said, okay, let's go. And it was once again a drag race onto the pit road. They were both close off of pit road. And Hudson, really strange angle into the pit stall. I think it's going to be just enough to get service. It's going to be a little bit tight getting out of the box. Again, he had the big run out of the pit stall the last time to put himself in Ray Alfala. It's not going to happen this time. Alfala leads off of pit road, but the 01 charges on the outside, and it looked like the 2 got loose, getting maybe up into 2nd gear, and somehow Hudson, despite quite the horrendous entry into the box, still wins that battle.
That's just absolutely amazing right there. I mean, he just got it literally off of the exit of pit road, just got through the gears that much better here. Ray Alfala probably not a little happy with himself right there. He's going to come down into turn number 2 now with a huge run, and now looks to the inside in the tunnel turn. This might be his opportunity to finally get around him. They get awfully close there off the exit. Hudson going to hang on to that spot.
The 2 machine followed the 01 for the better part of 30 laps or 20 laps, whatever they were doing since the last time they were down pit road. Tried to make a pass, couldn't do it. And it goes back to the notion about how important pit strategy is. If Hudson wins the race, it might be because of that move pit sign.
Yeah, it definitely could be. And you know what's funny is they came down side by side. You know, they come to it first, but Ray Alfala was to his inside. So that put Hudson at a disadvantage to begin with. He had to actually get off the gas coming into his box with entry into his pit box as well, too, because he had to let the 2 go by, otherwise he'd hit him. So kind of an interesting thing there. I think Ray Alfala knew that. and knowing that would slow him up a little bit, maybe give him the advantage, but it absolutely did not on corner exit. Of course, only one car length separating these two guys, and currently they're shown in the 11th and 12th spot here. 26 seconds, I should say, off of the race lead. That's a lot of time to make up in 17 laps.
They do have the better tires, but if you have maybe accepted the fate that Ryan Luza up front, a couple of the other names up there that also were on that strategy, Alex Bergeron now second, Santiago Tires in third, Derek Bordeaux fourth, Matt Bussa fifth. If you're come to the conclusion that they're not going to come down pit road, I don't think your tires are going to last much more than these next 16 laps, because you're going to have to drive in the hardest that you have all night long. Right now, Hudson cycles through to 11th position. Ray Alfala in 12th. Both going to get to the 26 of Chuck Sweeting, go to the bottom down in the tunnel.
Yeah, this is going to be all about their crew chiefs, their spotters getting on the horn with these guys that they're chasing down here, and they're catching pretty quick. Chuck Sweeting, a great job knowing these guys are that much faster, getting up out of the way in the tunnel turn. There's Ray Alfala, now peeks down to the inside in turn number 3. Once again, trying to take that spot away from Tyler Hudson. It's going to be a difficult task, but with the fresh tires, he's going to try to make it work here. Drag race now down the front stretch. Hudson still with the advantage, but now Ray Alfala to the inside.
That battle going to continue again. The 01 machine doesn't seem too afraid, though, to allow Alfala to go to the bottom. Hudson has kept his cool on the top, maintained his line, and if he can hold the two off, which he does, that's about the 8th time he's done it since these guys have ran bumper to bumper. Ray Alfala is probably not a driver, Andy, that would get frustrated easily, but it's probably got to be annoying now.
Yeah, when you're staring at that back bumper of the same car since about basically lap 15. So for the last 50 laps, Ray Alfala has been looking at the back end of that 01 car. You know he's got to get in a little bit frustrated right now, knowing just I can't get around him. I've tried everything at this point except for getting into the back of him. So it's definitely got to get frustrating, especially at this point in the race, and especially the fact that they're only making up about a second per lap here, and well, that's 23 seconds off the race lead, and they only got 15 laps to get it done. That means they're not going to catch the race leader right now. So that's got to be frustrating as well too, knowing that at least right now, as long as caution doesn't come out, strategy's going to kill him as well too, as Ray goes back to the inside down the Long Pond straightaway.
He's really starting to put the pressure on. He wants to spear the charge. This could be it, though. Turn number 2, the bottom has been the better place on the night. Alfala gets all the way down to the curb. He'll rotate off the corner, and they get nose to nose, side by side to turn number 3. They'll take 14 laps to go this time. Could this be the move? Alfala on the bottom. Hudson forced up to a third lane. He gets back to the gas a little bit sooner, and the runoff for the corner is not enough to clear him, but still door to door they go.
Wow, unbelievable right now, and I think this is the same song, different dance right now here for Ray Alfala. Finds himself to the inside once again, going into turn number 1, but this is when Ben where that 01 has been so strong on the outside lane in turn number 1. You can see it right there again. He's going to clear the 2 now coming off of the corner. Ray Alfala, he's got some momentum. He'll look back to the inside. Not going to happen, though, down the straightaway. And this is where that 01 is really starting to probably get him so frustrated to this point, is he cannot, even when he sets him up perfectly, just cannot complete that pass.
I'll tell you what, though, for the 2 machine of Ray Alfala, not that he really needs it, Andy, but I'm sure all of his family and friends now have iAnalyze racing accounts, because he's been looking at the back of the bumper of the 01 for so long. He probably has them all signed up over the course of the last 40 laps or so, because he is side by side and, back to the back bumper again. You take a look at the progress that these guys are making up to go to the front of the field, pick up another second, that time by. They're going to start to catch names like Matthew Moose in 9th, Seth the Merchant 8th, Tommy Ryan 7th. Then we get to Alex Bergeron, who's down pit road, so you can throw that position out the window. But with that being said, you take a look, Ryan Luza, the driver of the 02 machine, 56.361 the last time around. And for Tyler Hudson, it was a 55.2. So the disadvantage is obviously for the guys up front, but I don't think that 21-second gap is going to be surmountable with 12 laps to go.
No, they're just flat out running out of time, and that's why I'm actually kind of surprised they stayed out as long as they did. Probably hoping for a caution, but they didn't get it. But at the same time, when they knew that Ryan Luza was going to try that, they should have waited till he pit. Once he came down pit road, a lap or 2 later, they should have came down as well and I think it would have made for some interesting racing towards the end here. But you pretty much make your bed, you lay in it, and this is what you got. As you see Ray Alfalla again down the front straightaway, he's got a nose. As again, this is what I said, the 01 has been so strong in turn number 1 there on that outside. He does it once again and holds him off.
It doesn't take a lot to be fast at a track by yourself. However, when you get up on somebody's bumper and you go side by side and you're just so consistently similar lap after lap after lap as these guys are, Alfalla going to go back down to the bottom. You get tight behind somebody. Ray Alfalla's car does not handle the same right up on the bumper of Hudson as it would if he were to get clear. And that's why I find it so amazing when you see these guys, Andy, be able to go as close as they are, as close side by side, as close bumper to bumper, over the course of 30, 40 laps. And they just don't get away from each other. It's amazing, and quite frankly, it's just fun to watch. We see great battling week in and week out, but we don't see anything like this outside of Sunday nights.
No, and you know what? This is exactly what it is, though. It comes with experience on the racetrack, experience with the sim. These guys are pro drivers for a reason, and this is exactly why here. We see this type of battling in any other league. This would result in some contact at some point over the course. These guys have been doing this for the last 55 laps or so, and they have not once made contact with each other. Ray Alfalla is still looking
They
at the
got close
inside
a
here.
couple times.
No, they absolutely have, but that just shows you the experience that they have and the car control that these guys have. And even, and you know, in Ray Alfalla's experience is that he knows what the car's going to do behind somebody, and when he gets up onto the side of them, and you can see him right there get awfully close in turn number 3 to making some more contact, but
It's
still,
just fun to watch.
This is awesome. And it's not even for the race lead.
Yeah, this is a battle for 8th position. They got around Tommy Ryan that last time by, so they'll jump up to 7th and set their sights on Seth the Merchant. But this is just a show. And you're closing in, Seth the Merchant, number 3274, machine behind the lap car. They're single file now, so it might be a little bit easier to get by. They might catch them, though, in the tunnel turn. You look off for the back bumper of Hurst. Hurst going to get out of the way. He wants nothing to do with that. Seth the Merchant may just try to hold his line and hope that they can figure things out. But Tyler Hudson and Ray Alfalla, again, if you're just a casual viewer, and those names really don't pop out to you, and I think most people, if you've been in and around iRacing for just a little bit of time, those names will jump out. Ray Alfalla, 2011, 2012 was a back-to-back NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series champion. Tyler Hudson, your 2013 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series champion. There's only been 6 complete seasons of the top oval division in iRacing, and these guys own half of the hardware that has been handed out, so the credentials are there. The 32 get a hold up Alfalla just a little bit. He drops back about 3 car lengths.
Yeah, and you can see he held him up just a little bit, but Ray Alfalla's entry into turn number 1 there was absolutely fantastic right there. He'll close the gap back down to a car length here as they continue to go at it. You know who this is unfair to? This is unfair to no TV time for that 02 of Ryan Loser right now, who's got a 9.8 second lead over Santiago Tires for that second spot. And Ryan Loser coming off of turn number 3 here, looking to complete lap number 72. Yeah, we almost forgot what his car looked like, but there he is right there. Complete lap number 72, just giving himself 8 more laps left to get the job done here. And a little bit of redemption maybe from that last time around here a couple months ago.
You take a look at how the last couple of weeks have gone. It is Ryan Luza who leads this Segment 2 championship. Started all 8 races so far, has had 2 pole positions, looks for his 4th win in 9 starts. If he can finish where he sits now, he would improve on what is a second best average finish. It would be a 5th top 5, a 6th top 10 overall, but I think the ultimate picture for Luza is to get himself in a position where he can get enough wins and or secure that championship. Again, he has 3 wins, but not on the chase grid. Ray Alfalla on the chase grid, 7 wins. Matt Busa, 3. Michael Conti, 2. Everybody else in on points because he has to meet the quota with starts. Winning a championship, I believe, would ensure that he would be on that Segment 3 chase for the championship grid, which is the battle for the overall championship. We mentioned Ray Segment 1 championship, led this Segment 2 championship for what seemed like the longest time. Entered tonight 25 points back. It's a whale of a championship battle. A tough night for Taylor Hurst, who is in 30th position at the moment. Started up front, was only 3 points off of the top spot in the title. This almost is going to take him out of contention because he's losing essentially a whole race's worth of points.
Yeah, he is, absolutely. And we're watching a battle go on right now for that second spot. It's closed up over the last couple of laps. Matt Busa has been trying to chase down Santiago Gutierrez for that second spot here. He's caught him, only about 2 car lengths now, separating them off the tunnel turn. And what could be for Matt Busa a win here 2 months ago could be a second-place finish for him here. He's just got to hold off those guys coming up behind him as well, and he's doing a pretty good job at it here tonight. And he's trying to get that one more spot before this thing closes as a complete lap 74 this time. He's got a huge run off turn number 3. Matt Busa now going to look to the inside down the front stretch.
Side by side they go. Tierra's on the outside of the racetrack, and they'll head down to turn 134. Should be enough. 3/4 of a car length now as the 6 going to bring it out of the gas just a little bit. He'll let him go down to the quarter. Matt Busa takes over second. Santiago Tierrez now back in third. A surprise, surprise. We're side by side for fifth. The 01 of Hudson outside. The 2 of Ray Alfala on the inside. And once again, Tyler Hudson defends off the corner. They're going to close in very quickly on Derek Bordeaux. That might be the highest they get. Be a little bit of a stretch if they can get up to Santiago Tierrez and Matt Busa, who right now are 6 seconds in front of them with 5 laps to go this time by. I think third position might be out of reach. Fourth may be the peak for these guys.
Yeah, it might be. And I mean, you look at the different strategies, and for them to come out of here with what could be a top 5 finish here at the end of the night, you still got to be pretty happy with that. But when you're talking about Tyler Hudson and Ray Alfala, Peak Series champions, and Ray Alfala with what he's done so far this season, having 7 wins so far collectively overall, you got to say he's maybe a little bit disappointed with that. But most people would say, hey, I got a top 5 at Pocono. I'm pretty happy with that. Ray Alfala, though, this is one of his tracks that he loves to come to. Just like last week, when he got the big win last week at Indianapolis. He wanted to make it two for 2 here. I should say, as he looks back again to the inside. Pretty good run down that long pond straightaway. He'll dip back to the inside, but Tyler Hudson been so good on the outside lane.
I know they say the 3rd time is the charm. Maybe the 47th time will be the charm because Alfala back to the bottom, relentless, and you have to think maybe if you just try enough, you might be able to finally get the job done. It's the closest he's gotten off of turn number 3. Can't slide up. What a run as Hudson keeps the right foot down and says not this time either. And in fact, at the line, Hudson still beat him to the start-finish line there barely. They'll go down to turn number 1 once again. Still side by side and still closing in now. They executed that move on Bordeaux within 4 seconds now of Santiago Tierrez in 3rd. They'll take 4 laps to go that last time around, so I think that might be pushing it. But I want to see if Ray Alfala can get the job done. Back to the bottom again.
Oh, I'm telling you what, I mean, this is just absolutely phenomenal what we're seeing between these two guys right now, going at it like they have been for the last 15, 20 laps or so. I mean, forget about it. Since lap 15, these two have been looking at each other. We've been talking about how it's got to be so frustrating, especially on Ray Alfala's part, the fact that he hasn't been able to get around him this whole entire race, basically, and he's been trying. I'll tell you what, you got to give him an A for effort here in the last 10 laps or so here. They're still side by side now, coming to the start-finish line. Looks like Ray got him there on that lap, just barely. But these two, I'm telling you, this is classic battle right here.
I wouldn't be surprised if it comes down to a 1/100th of a second a gap the next time they come by the start-finish line. We saw that one time Alfala go really high into turn 3, and on the left rear that time he'll get out of shape, hang on, and I don't even think he got out of the gas because he doesn't lose much more than half a car length. Alfala drove the 01 up the hill, though, down in turn number 3 a couple of laps ago. You want the higher lane in that corner. That's what Hudson's been using, as now he's the next closest driver.
Yeah, he's been on a rail, and this is definitely redemption for that 02 machine. After last time we were here, after having a late race caution, he came down pit road thinking everybody else would. Nobody else did. I think he battled back to a top 10 finish in that race, but still wasn't what he was looking after leading 60 laps. Now, tonight, he's got his redemption right now as it sits here with only a couple of laps to go. He's got a 10-second lead, comfortable lead right now over the rest of the field here as Tyler Hudson and Ray Alfala continue to battle it out, and they continue to close in on Santiago Tierrez. That's going to be awfully close to see if one of them can get the podium.
White flag going to fly the next time around we get to that point, and when we get there, obviously a caution flag would not be a factor. They're almost at Tires. Busa for sure out of reach. He's the second in front of the 6. The 6 begins to fall back. I think Tires might have. He doesn't want Hudson to get up to him, but if the 0-1 and the 2 were able to get up there. Final 2.5 miles from the tricky triangle. Ryan Luza, one more piece of lap traffic in front right now, but the second may not be a factor. 2 turns to go.
2 turns to go. The final time down the long pond straightaway for the 0-2 of Ryan Luza, looking to go for another win here. His 4th win on this segment number 2. Doing a great job here tonight. Different strategy than everybody else. He had competition for most of this race up until that pit strategy, and right now it's going to pay off for Ryan Luza. Just one more corner to get it done.
Not going to be able to get up to the lap machine right now. We're in front. He doesn't want to have to force the issue, and there's no need for him to. Final time off of turn 4. Ryan Luza plays the pit strategy. 1 stop through the final 70-some-odd laps. Checkered flag. He's back in victory lane. Winner tonight from Pocono. Matt Busa going to hang on safely for 2nd. Tires just enough for 3rd. And Tyler Hudson relentlessly hangs on and withers the Ray Alfala Storm. Comes home 4th. The number 2 machine behind in 5th.
That was absolutely phenomenal battle we saw all race long between Tyler Hudson and Ray Alfala for what was at the end of the race the 4th and 5th place finish. But that was absolutely phenomenal and a great job by everybody. A huge green flag run for these guys. A couple of stops for these guys under the green flag conditions as well. So a great race here from Pocono and a good way for these guys to come here at their last their second time here this season and get the job done. And now they can chalk this one off the calendar. They don't have to come back to Pocono again.
And again, not to take away from Ryan Luza, who makes the strategy call, I think maybe of the season, convincingly by 10 seconds over 2 drivers on his own strategy. 11 seconds to Hudson and Alfala, who are bringing up the 2-stop charge there late. Gets the job done, but I don't think you can stress it up how impressive that battle with Tyler Hudson and Ray Alfala was. And I know those two would have liked for it to have been for the race win. They don't come home inside the top 3, so we won't get an opportunity to chat with them here tonight. But do want to give them a tip of the cap as we look forward to seeing what they can do the next time out. But Ray Alfala 5th, Tyler Hudson in 4th position. It is about Ryan Luza, though. He'll celebrate the 0-2 machine. It's the Polish victory lap around the Pocono Raceway. He gets the job done. 4th win on 2016. We'll catch up with him down trackside in Gatorade Victory Lane in just a moment. You're watching the ASCORS ProGeek Consultant Cup Series on LSRTV and iRacing Live. Pocono from Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Post-race show coverage still to come.
For iRacing to get Le Mans is huge. I mean, this is a unique event, a unique track where, you know, half of the track is public road, so you can never test on it, you never get experience on it, and it's 8 miles in length, 4-minute lap time in a GT car. So, you know, even if you're here for an hour of testing, that's only 15 laps, and you're only going to see the corner 15 times that day. The first section going through the Dunlop area is pretty unique. You know, it's got elevation change and off camber. Then you go down Mulsanne into the chicanes, and you know, the straights are unbelievably long. It's a tricky track, and you know, every year I've come here, this being my 4th year, you learn something new every time.
We've wanted to add Le Mans to iRacing for a long time, and we've really been working hard towards it for the last 5 years. But really, things only came together in the last week leading up to this race. So it was a real scramble to put everything together. The majority of Le Mans is public roads. So when they're preparing for the 24-hour race, it's really the only time that we can visit to laser scan and photograph the track so that we can recreate it in iRacing. We work closely with the ACO to get essentially exclusive access to the facility and everything that we needed to get the laser scanning and photographic reference that we need to create the track. We were very fortunate to be at Le Mans at the most important time of the year and gain that experience of being there. And we're going to really do the best we can to put that into our work and making sure that the Le Mans in iRacing is the best Le Mans, the most exciting and accurate recreation of the track possible.
We're back live from the Pocono Raceway. Ryan Luza, your winner tonight in the ProGeek Cup Pocono 200. Tonight's continuing coverage on LSRTV presented by ProGeek Consulted LLC. Since 1998, ProGeek has been providing IT solutions to small and mid-sized businesses in the Minneapolis-St. Paul metropolitan area. Their strong work ethic and attention to detail allows them to provide the best solution for your needs, specializing in a wide range of solutions including infrastructure, networking, servers, storage, virtualization, security, virtual CIO, and IT strategy. Check him out today at www.progeek.com. Let's take a look at tonight's ProGeek full race results. Number 2, Ryan Luza gets the job done, ends up at victory lane. Matt Busa coming home in second. Your pole sitter salvages what started off as a really bad race for him, and Santiago Tires will come home inside of the top 3. Leading up the two-stop strategy, Tyler Hudson hangs on to a spectacular 50-plus lap side-by-side fight with Ray Alfala to come home 4th. Alfala settles for the number 5 spot tonight. Adam Benefield, P6. Byron Daly in the number 7th position behind. A great night for him. Also Landon Harrison up double digits in 8th spot. Chris Overland 9th here at Bordeaux Falls to round out your top 10.
11th tonight comes home the 32 of Seth the Merchant. Matthew Moose will finish 12th. 13th, that's Chuck Sweeting. Mark Jorgensen Jr. will end up 14th here tonight. 15th, that goes to the 22 of Jordan Hightower. Jason Miller finishes 16th. 17th, Alex Bergeron. J.D. Laird will finish in the 18th spot. 19th, that's John Gorlinski. Joshua Campbell, he'll finish 20th.
21st position tonight, and also the final spot on the lead lap belongs to Chad Coleman. Drivers' laps down include 22nd position, Samuel Rouse, Tommy Ryan 23rd, John Oko 24th, 25th for Tyler Dalton, and Jonathan Gokin 26th. They all come home 1 lap down. Right now with the second comes home 27th position, 2 laps behind. 4 laps back for 28th place Taylor Hurst, again entered tonight second in the championship with the second best average finish of an 8.0. This is going to hurt him significantly in his bid for a Segment 2 championship. Behind him out of the race, 29th position, Doy Woods, Bentley Glazer 30th, and then Dylan Jones 31st, Josh Jones 32nd, and Brian Day in the number 33 position. That's a look top to bottom at tonight's ProGeek full race results. Ryan Luza, your winner. We'll try to catch up with him in just a moment. First, we'll toss it down trackside of Matt Busa and Santiago Tires, also inside of the top 3 tonight. Andy Kessler caught up first with the driver of the number 34 Toyota.
Yeah, down here on pit road with the driver to finish in second spot here tonight, Matt Busa. Matt, kind of an interesting strategy played out in this one with the long green flag run here. We had guys thinking two stops was going to do it. Well, there's a bunch of you guys that thought 1 stop was going to do it for you. It came up 1 spot short here, but not a bad way to mimic, I guess, the win you had here a couple months ago, but you come home with a second-place finish.
Yeah, I would have liked to sweep the season here at Pocono, but I'll take a second. Good points day. And the strategy, originally I was going to do a 2-stopper, but that was before I had that little spin there when we had a 3-wide incident going into 1. And that, I don't know how nobody hit me, but that was a great job by the field to avoid me there. And then since I was on slightly newer tires than the leaders, only by like 2 laps, and I had a little bit more fuel, and since I was back there restarting like 30th, I figured I'd have to do something different, so decided to go with the one stopper, and it ended up paying off.
Yeah, it definitely ended up paying off for you. Of course, you're already locked into the chase that'll come up here in a couple more months here. But how important, I guess, trying something different like this, does this help you going across into the rest of the season here? I know we don't come to Pocono again, but does this type of strategy maybe give you an idea that something like this could work for you at some other track coming up here, maybe even to secure yourself a win, maybe in a chase race or something?
Yeah, I typically do some pretty bizarre strategies, but I think the longer tracks where you don't go a lap down when you pit, like at the Brickyard a couple weeks ago or last week, and then here tonight, it's more beneficial because then if there is a caution, you won't get stuck a lap down. And if you get lucky, like Duval did in the impasse race, you can just stay out on fresh tires and be set up to win the race.
Well, that's what it's all about. I mean, obviously, caution there towards the end would have probably been in your favor. At least you would have had an opportunity maybe to chase down that 0-2 at the end there. But unfortunately, came up one spot short. But not a bad average finish for Pocono here this season. A win, now a second-place finish for you, Matt. Who helps you get that 34 to the track?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Gale Force Racing and all the work we do throughout the 2 World Championship Series we're in. And thanks to you guys for broadcasting it, and thanks to ASCORS and Brian Schoenburg and everyone for hosting this league. It's a lot of fun.
A lot of fun it is, and there's one of your drivers locked in already. 3 wins on the season, Matt Busa tonight. 1 spot short of that win here. He comes home in the second-place spot. Now I'm going to move down a little bit here. I'll talk to a driver that came in the 3rd spot here. Almost had a second-place spot, Santiago Tires. Santiago, fantastic run for you. At what point, though, did you decide, hey, 1 stop at the end here was going to give me a good finish?
Honestly, when that, I forgot what yellow was. I think it was around lap 20, maybe 18 or so. Or no. Excuse me. It's like around lap 13. I guess right around there. I did the math, and I thought forward that it was going to be, you could split it like 30-30 for the race, but that obviously wasn't the case. I almost got past her at the end, but yeah, that was really stressful at the end. I knew when Busa caught me, I just let him go because I really wanted 3rd place pretty bad. But yeah, that was I'm glad it worked out, but I was kind of surprised at how many people did 2 stops, to be honest.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Some races we'll see. Well, we won't see that. We'll see 30 laps. Everybody comes in. You don't really see anybody really trying to stretch it just because of how important tires are. Does it play more of a role on these bigger tracks like Indy last week, and when you come to a Pocono like this, just got how big? Does that make more of a difference as far as trying to make a strategy like that work as opposed to a 1.5-mile track?
Well, for whatever reason, this track, the tire wear isn't as great as Indy, for example. Indy, you probably saw like 3-second fall off. Here it was, at the end of my run, I was maybe 2 seconds off from what I was running at the beginning. So it really wasn't that big of a drop as we usually normally see it. So, and I knew that too. So that's why I thought 30-30 would be more optimal. But yeah, you're right though. I guess like even at Indy and most 1.5 miles, a 2-stop would have been ideal. But since the fall off isn't as great here, that was the better pit strategy.
Definitely is a better pit strategy, but you did say it got a little stressful towards the end trying to hang on to that top 3 finish. And when everybody finally makes their last stop and you see you got a 20-plus second lead on these guys, how hard is it for you to not overdrive it at that point and to really just stick to your game, hit your marks, not really worry about how quickly those guys are catching up to you?
Yeah, it just kind of goes down and just staying focused and hitting your marks and trying not to look at your relative too much, really. I think like within 5 laps to go, I started seeing Tyler Hudson and Ray, and they were within like maybe 7-6 seconds, and like you said, they were like almost 20 back. So I was like, oh geez. So I just turned my relative off and I just started driving the track. Unfortunately, it was just enough. I slipped a little there at the end, but yeah, very fortunate that I was able to keep that.
Yeah, one more lap, we might be not talking to you here and getting yourself a 5th place finish, but you were able to hang on to it, get yourself a solid night here tonight. The 3rd place finish for you, and keeps it going here for segment number 2. Give you a chance, sponsor shout out, stick around talking to us here, Santiago. Who helps you get it done?
Yeah, just want to thank Brian for putting on this league. It's a lot of fun running this series. A lot of great competition to run against. So a lot of fun each and every week, and yeah, it's great talking to you guys. Appreciate it.
Well, congratulations again. Outstanding run here tonight. A good strategy. It worked out for you. Top 3 finish, and we'll see you next week at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, looking forward to Watkins Glen. I love road course racing, so hopefully I get a decent finish there as well.
Oh, hope talk to you once again. There he is, your 3rd place finisher here tonight from Pocono. That's Santiago Tires, getting the job done with the strategy. And one other driver that was able to get it done here tonight comes out with his 4th win on the season. How about it? It's Ryan Luza. He's caught up with Evan now in victory lane.
He got the job done, and he was a little bit exaggerated with the celebration, so it took a little bit to get the car back down to victory lane, but we are caught up with the driver of the O2 and winner tonight from Pocono, Ryan Luza. Ryan, congratulations, 4th win on 2016 for you guys. This one came down to pit strategy. We saw quite the battle way out behind you, where Alfala and Hudson were going at each other while you were running away with this one. How difficult was that strategy call for you guys to make? Because a couple of caution flags early. Did you make that call kind of on the fly, or did you say coming to what was the last restart of this race, if we go green, I'm going to do this on one stop? Because it seemed like that wasn't really on the forefront of any guy's mind, but you made it work.
Yeah, I went ahead and filled up on that caution that we had with, about 62 to go. So I was planning on going 31 or something like that. And then we had another caution, right on that restart, so it made the strategy even more convincing for me, so I only had to go 29. So I really didn't think they were going to do the 20, but another issue is people are not filling up because the cars are they handle a lot better on low fuel. So if you were planning on going 20, and then we have another caution, they can't make the strategy even if it, it turns out to be a better one. So luckily I had filled up coming into the first stop, and they ended up, 12 seconds behind.
This one, we were talking about, a little bit of pit strategy early on and saw a couple of cautions here and there, but we did feel like we would see that green flag stretch eventually. You guys make the correct call when it's all said and done. In the overall scheme of things for this Segment 2 championship, just a 3-point advantage into tonight over Taylor Hurst, who comes home in the number 28 spot, and obviously you finish higher than Derek Bordeaux, you finish higher than Ray Alfala, Alex Bergeron, continuing on down the list. So it's going to help you guys pad that lead as we head into the 10th round on this Segment 2 championship. Heading into Watkins Glen with a little bit more of a padding, how confident are you guys into these next couple of weeks that you can secure up that title the Season 2 title?
Not very confident coming into these next 2 races. That's why this one was such a big one, especially after the last Pocono race. After pretty much dominating it and making a bad call on pit strategy, we made a good call this time. So redemption there, and going into the road course, just hope for a top 10. So I'm not very good at it. And then Bristol is just roll the dice. If you're going to wreck or not, it's going to be a crazy race.
Yeah, Darlington and Bristol also on the calendar are Darlington and Bristol. I think those go without being said, Ryan. For you guys, though, really starting to pick it up in these last couple of weeks. I know that you're not getting a whole bunch of wins at once, and you're spreading them out fairly well. You've now won at Michigan, as well as Kentucky, New Hampshire, and Pocono, winning on all different kinds of racetracks. We'll see a couple guys who are very strong at the intermediates, and to speak to Watkins Glen, we know a couple of names that are going to be very strong and specifically look to those kind of races to win. For you guys being good across the board, what would you attribute that to?
I don't really know. Pocono has been a good track for me, historically, but going back to Indy, I was just not fast at all. I was fast for about 5 laps, and I'd fall off. And, I'd compare Pocono to Indy. They're both weird tracks. They're different weird corners, and to be really good at Pocono but bad at Indy, it's just weird. So, I don't know. I really don't. There's just certain tracks that click, and then there's a few that really don't for me. So hopefully we don't have that many that don't click, and hopefully we just keep rolling off these wins.
Well, you clicked with the track and your strategy clicked tonight, and you're back into ASCORS Victory Lane. And I know you're very used to the routine now, but before we let you go, do want to give you another opportunity. The sponsors, the shout-outs. Who makes it happen for you in the O2 team?
Just everybody at HPM, High Performance Motorsports. They work really hard week in and week out, running the Peak Series on Tuesday.
Brian, thanks for making it in here and chatting with us again. Congratulations. Best of luck. We'll see what you guys can do next Sunday from Watkins Glen.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. A lot of fun.
Four-time winner now in segment number 2. Ryan Luza, your winner tonight from the Pocono Raceway. He gets the job done. That boosts Santiago Gutierrez joining him inside of the top 3. Championship picture, going to shuffle up a little bit, Andy, with this. But again, Luza opens it up, and I think now is the favorite. But as he mentioned, Bristol, the next 3.
Yeah, you're talking just unique tracks to begin with. Of course, road course racing is its own animal. But then you get Darlington. It's so tight around that racetrack. A lot can happen at any point. It gets tight at Bristol, obviously, for obvious reasons, when you stick 40 of these cars out on that tiny little half-mile track. So a lot can happen over the next couple of weeks for Ryan Luza. But he doesn't have that comfortable lead like Ray Alfala did in segment number 1. He had some 40-something point lead there going into the final couple of races. This is a lot closer. There's been a lot of great competition come into segment 2, so it's made the racing phenomenal, and to do what he's done in this segment is tremendous. Racking off 4 wins now so far. I mean, he's done a great job overall for this season. So it's been fun to watch. I mean, he's leading a ton of laps. He's basically putting up numbers that we saw Ray do in segment 1. So he's got a lot of work left with these next 3 tracks going, but solid runs, which he's capable of doing. He talked about it. Top 10 next week would be fine. He goes to Darlington, Bristol. If he can run out of there with good top 5s, good top 10 runs, keep it clean all race long, he'll have no problem having an opportunity to get this championship. So with the problems Taylor Hurst had tonight, definitely helped him out a lot coming up in the next few weeks.
And if you enjoyed the action tonight, where we had a little bit of everything, a couple of wild restarts, field strategy, and of course a lot of good fights over the course of the night. And if you continue to tune in on Sunday nights, you will not be disappointed as we close in on the end of segment 2, which obviously means we get set to hand out the segment 2 championship, but more importantly, get set to begin that 3rd and final segment in the overall chase for the championship here on Sunday nights with LSRTV on iRacing Live. If you want to find out the next time you can find LSRTV on the iRacing Live portal, you can go to our website at www.livesimracing.com. You can find a complete upcoming broadcast schedule there, as well as an extended broadcast schedule to find out when your favorite series may be heading to the airwaves next time out. I also encourage you to give us a like on Facebook at facebook.com/live sim racing TV for all the latest updates there. And you can find out all of the information when it comes to championship battles for all of the different series that you can find here with us. But until next time, that wraps things up from the Pocono Raceway. Ryan Luza, your winner tonight from Long Pond, Pennsylvania. On behalf of the entire LSRTV team, for myself, Evan Pasocco, Andy Kessler, Cisco Scarmuza, and as well everybody else behind the scenes, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. We bid you good night for round number 9. We head to the 10th race on segment number 2, and we hope to see you back here next Sunday evening as we go road course racing from Watkins Glen International. That race and every race on the 2016 ASCORS ProGeek Consulted Cup Series found right here on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. And until next time, good night.
This copyrighted broadcast is presented under the authority of LSRTV LLC and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations and may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form, nor the accounts and descriptions of this event disseminated in any way without the express written permission of Live Sim Racing TV. LSRTV would like to thank its loyal fans for their continued support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.